Check this out, man. Before we start recording, before we roll the cameras, I just gotta get this thought out of my head. So, because the argument that a lot of people have about Mike Brown, which I can't refute this argument because we see the tape of him, supposedly robbing. We hadn't been verified that it is Mike Brown, but we see the tape of him supposedly robbing a store. We see the fact that he had cigarillos in his pocket, quote unquote. But what nobody's talking about is the potential exchange between a hostile black teen and a hostile white officer. Because if you do some history on Darren Wilson, you do realize he was born in Tyler, Texas, which is not the most racially equal place in this country, right? In East Texas. Then he went from Tyler, Texas to a small town in Missouri. He became a police officer in Jennings, Missouri. Man, do you understand that 3 years ago in Jennings, Missouri, that whole police force was disbanded because of racial tension and racial discrimination? First time in my life I've ever heard of a whole police force being fired. And then here's the crazy thing, Troy. He goes 4 miles down the road and gets a job the same year in Ferguson, Missouri. No detoxing, no counseling, no accountability for his racial biasness, but he gets a job in Ferguson, Missouri. He goes from 90% to a town that's 70% black. And that same attitude, that same aggression. Listen, man, I've experienced white cops before. When they get that badge, when they get that gun, when they get that uniform, they lose their mind, they talk to you any old kind of way, and nobody is talking about that. Could it possibly be, yes, Mike Brown would be alive if he hadn't robbed the store, but could it also be possible that Mike Brown would be alive if Darren Wilson had a little bit more accountability, a little bit more integrity, and a little bit more respect for the black race and as a whole? I'm trying to...
For the human race. I mean, you sound like, they talk about what Mike Brown did and they use that to prosecute him, but Darren Wilson is a peace officer, when clearly he hadn't been peaceful.
Not only had he not been peaceful, but here's what's frustrating. Every eyewitness account that said Darren Wilson did something negative, they try to discredit it. So that if several people are saying the same thing, there's got to be some truth in it. You know what frustrated me, bro, is I watched this interview that they put on on ABC News, which he got paid $500,000. They paid him like $400,000 for this particular interview. So, sidebar. If a great retirement plan as a cop is kill a black man. Backstoppers raised over $400,000 for him. Then he gets over $400,000 for him. Some people don't make $800,000 their whole life. This brother made $800,000 in a year, and all he did was kill the black teenager. The fact that historically they try to discredit the eyewitness testimony of the young, black, and disenfranchised. But if the roles had been reversed and it had been white folks, a bunch of white folks lined up and said they seen that, they would have indicted him. I don't know, man. I'm frustrated right now, man, because I'm looking at how is it possible for somebody like Robert McCullough, the prosecutor, he's the president over a group that's helping support Darren Wilson. You can't prosecute what you support. It's biasness. There's partiality there. You're not gonna prosecute what you support, what you raising money for. I'm at a loss for words with this case, man. I'm at a loss for words, just to be honest with you.